Hello. Oh, wow. We have a really interesting show tonight, apparently, seeing as how my shirt is a totally different color. I did not entirely plan on that one. Welcome to Illegal Knowledge. My name is Michael, and I will be your talking head this evening. This is quite interesting. You can see that I have a shirt on, unfortunately. Anyway, this should be a very interesting little thing here now. Always check your chroma key before going live on the air. Anyway, tonight's topic is well, actually, this is the first show of season 3. Tonight's topic is surveillance and control versus liberty and security. Yeah, I like it too. You know? I didn't. Yeah.
Don't wear blue.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. So, anyway, tonight's topic is surveillance and control versus liberty and security. We have new show days now. It's still every other week at 9 p.m. Now it's on Wednesday, and that's every other week live on Wednesday at 9. We also are every week is the replay is on Friday at 11 p.m. and they're both on Comcast 73 and Cox 98. The next show is Compelled Performance versus Common Law on the 26th of March, and we'll be talking about admiralty law and common law and the difference between in this nation between the two and why it is important. If you noticed, I'm doing every show has a little versus theme going there. Where the theme this season, season 3, is to analyze the opposing views and whatnot. We're only going to have 25 minutes to do it. The show's only 25 minutes long this season, and let's hope I win the lottery next season, or for next season, and we'll get a longer show back because it usually is an hour. It's now only half an hour, or 25 minutes. And hi, Kyler, if you can see me. Now, on to tonight's topic, surveillance and control versus liberty and security. You know, everyone heard the Ben Franklin quote about, you know, those who give up a little liberty to gain temporary security deserve neither, get neither. The opposing view is obviously what we are currently looking at in this country is that we just have a large surveillance network developing and being developed, and it's basically since you know, there's COINTELPRO, various various things that happened during the 60s, during Nixon. Now, because basically the people who were in power during Nixon's tenure of the neoconservative movement, Dick Cheney, everybody like that, we're seeing this dramatic resurgence over the last, well, 8 years since Bush got in power. Before that, I mean, we had, you know, always had rulers over the rule. I mean, why is there this need for control? You know, when you're a king and you have your court and various, I mean, you didn't trust anybody because, you know, if you consolidate all the power, then up in the very top levels, then there's this large base of people who are left without the power, and people who have consolidated all this power that we're seeing, you know, in the executive branch, they're going to basically insist on having a mechanism of control over the rest of the pyramid, over the rest of society, so as to protect that power. But the whole tracking issues that track your enemies, and, you know, when manufacture threats, you know, we have 100 years of war ahead of us. You know, this is, you know, all of this is an excuse to exercise this control over the people. why everyone? There is really no need you treat people like people, and they generally tend to behave as nice, well-mannered people. You treat them all like criminals, and track everybody, and you fingerprint everybody mandatorily, and have this real ID card, and all these things that we're currently doing now. If you have this structure, people will think, that it's a terrible circle of you treat people like criminals. They tend to fear, and the fear drives this basically you're leading people into this society where you think that there's always a shortage, there's always this boogeyman around the corner and everything. And it's mongering of falsehoods that create this. And again, because if you're afraid, you will tend to say, oh, okay, I'll trade my liberties for security, and you again get neither. Especially when the government is the one perpetrating the threats. When 9/11 was pretty much. It's pretty well established now that it was completely, the government doing that, as it was in the Oklahoma City bombing, as it was in the World Trade Center bombing in 1993, as, all of these things have been, as the Vietnam War, all of these Hegelian dialectically created, false problem, false flag operation type things. These are all excuses for this control, as one of the, it's an excuse to get money from the people. It's an excuse for plenty of things. But, it's this control, and now we're seeing this increase in surveillance, and how it's being done in the U.S. You've probably heard of the Real ID Act, where what's going on right now is that a couple states still won't really totally do it. They don't want to go along with it. But basically what it is that all states are required to have, it's a national ID card pretty much. And the states are required to adhere to the federal guidelines and share information. And the whole sharing of the information is what, the real big issue is. Because, if states want to keep information for, purposes, okay, get a driver's license. Okay, we know you can drive. That's all the information they need. They don't need to know where you drove. They don't need to really know how fast you drove. If they catch you speeding, then they can ask who you are so that they can write you a ticket. And of course, that's why you need but when you need your driver's license and whatnot. If you're operating under compelled performance, which is the topic in 2 weeks, if you have this national identity system, then what we're really doing, we already have the Social Security cards and whatnot, so why do we need, what's this extra layer of surveillance, of control? These cards, the cards are you're going to have and the other thing here is that we're getting to have this really cool technology, and some of the things that are happening with it, like when you have a radio frequency ID chip, it's really cool because you can track products being shipped across the country and whatnot, and you can do but you can also track your pets and things like that by implanting a little chip into your pet's shoulder or something like that. You can also track people, and they're starting to suggest that we should be doing this. And the card, the Real ID card, is having one of these one of the RFID chips in it. And when you, for the same reason that if you talk on the cell phone a lot, you have a higher incidence of leukemia. If the thing is a transmitter, and even if it's not always transmitting, you're going to be passing radio frequency radio waves through you know, your body, and that's bad, and it'll give you cancer eventually if there's a lot of it going on. Also, if they're actually injected into you, and we've seen this in pets, is that you get tumors and you get all sorts of like malignant growths and cancers and all kinds of things, you know, that, you know, has killed many of the pets that these chips were designed to protect. And you know, to think that it wouldn't happen that way in people if we were all being chipped and whatnot is just, you know, it's obvious that it would. It's the same stuff. The other problem is that we're getting to the point where we have nanotechnology, where the chips that are basically the size of a grain of rice now can get even smaller, so that you can't. I mean, right now you could, if you had one, you could feel it probably, you know, and sometimes they move around, but you know, and then spread the growths and whatnot everywhere. You wouldn't be able to feel it. You wouldn't be able to tell. It could come in let's say you had to go and get a vaccination for something like that, or something going on, you know, that flu shot or whatever. They could have these in just a bunch of them in the actual vaccine, or even in the drinking water. Now, you would not necessarily know who's who if it was in the drinking water, but you certainly would with a vaccine. And with any other kind of, you know, you can give people a shot, or, you know, just walk around and tag them. You know, I mean, in England, you have people in spy networks going around running and sticking syringes in people, and, you know, who's to think? You know, and that's, granted, that's Britain, and it is a lot worse. The surveillance situation in Britain is a lot worse than it is here. The DNA mapping of England is well underway, and they're proposing that we do that here. The FBI and various other Department of Defense agencies are proposing this, and you know, also the tattoo mapping, where if you have a tattoo, they know what it is and keep track of you based on, you know. But they even want to put the nanochips in, say, tattoo ink, right? So yeah, so you can see where this is going in this progression of, we need to know who you are at all times, no matter if you're the cleanest person on the face of the planet, you've never committed a crime, never even thought about it, never wrote any emails about it, and it doesn't matter because everyone is a threat. Texas, in May of 2007, started this DNA database called the Texas Data Exchange, and they're collecting right now. They have the data on criminals, on people in the criminal justice system, and who have been incarcerated, and they'll take your DNA. They're proposing expanding it to the general population, and that is, and apparently the Senate bill in Texas passed about not quite a year ago, saying that, yeah, you can start collecting this, and it's the Texas the police, basically, who are doing the state police who are doing the database, the DNA database, Texas Data Exchange. Then we have Talon, which is the federal Department of Defense, in June of 2006. It's, you know, the watch list. The ACLU is suing over both of those last two to try to stop them from collecting data on actual people, on non-criminals, on, you know, actual citizens. I'm gonna go to there's been someone here trying to dial me, and I'm just gonna put the phone numbers up, because we will be taking calls in a little bit. In February of 2008, yeah, there we go. In February of 2008, the FBI is planning to, they awarded a $1 billion contract to expand the database to include palm prints, retinal scans, other biometrics like, the points on your face, like, things that don't change, like the corner of your eye, like where your ear is positioned, like, like how far apart your eyes are, mouth, nose, things like that, width of your face, height of your head, and to include the entire population. Another thing that goes on, you have your purchases at like, your Fry's and Albertsons and whatnot, when you have those little cards that you run through to, to get the discount and whatnot. The stores track purchases as well. So they know where you are. I mean, you see, it's this sharing of databases which becomes the real issue. And that's the thing that's being proposed here too, with a global, surveillance system. But they know what you do. They know, who you are. Your credit cards are the same way. And once all of these databases are combined and coordinated, you get an interesting picture, because you can see, like, basically you can see the habits of any one person. And when the point is that data is private. It is not public data. It is not to be shared with law enforcement agencies. It is not to be shared with the Department of Defense. It's not to be shared with commercial agencies who might be willing to pay for that sort of thing, because I'm sure there'd be, wonderful applications if you targeted advertising, I mean, really targeted. If they know who you are, or let's say you have your RFID chip and you're walking down the sidewalk and they know that you buy a lot of, something, like, let's say the billboard will change. Like, let's say an electronic billboard will change to reflect that, oh, okay, this person buys a lot of that, I'm going to, which I guess you could say, oh, that's kind of neat. But, it's a total privacy invasion. You would have, ads on your phone, say, before you, like, on an 800 number, maybe something like, or, just in general, like, that are, targeted again, if they can figure out. And it's not just advertising. I mean, advertising is kind of annoying that way, and especially if they're, particularly if, they're trying to steer you into, getting whatever, particularly if it's bad, which most of the stuff, I mean, you got formaldehyde in most of the products today, or like one nitrogen off or one hydrogen off or something, sodium, potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate are the chemicals, and they're preservatives, quite obviously. But I mean, you're being sent into this, arena where you just have no privacy. Everything about you is known by anyone who wants to pay for it, and it's kind of like just Big Brother is watching you, and welcome to 1984. It's a little late, but this was being proposed back in 1984, so it's being proposed in '48 for that matter. And particularly in Britain, where it was based on. You got your cyber spying and your phone tapping and surveillance and things like that. They're proposing a global biometric thing called Server in the Sky. The FBI is doing this anyway. And they want it to be global and globally sharing information between countries and between, like, Interpol and whatnot. And it's the progression here is so obvious that it is going towards this total unified database where everything is known about everyone. And it doesn't matter if you're a criminal, everybody is part of this thing. And it's what's interesting is that having the chip, or having, it's kind of almost like having the mark of the beast, because you won't, if we get rid of paper money, you might not even be able to buy or sell without these cards, without your whole the Real ID Act. They're saying that you will need to have that ID to get a job, to get so you really you can't function in society unless you take this mark. And, I was kind of the opinion that when they're talking about that in Revelations and whatnot in the Bible, that they were referring to, Rome in the future, because that was, the beast at the time. But it's interesting on this show how we often compare the conversion of the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire with the conversion of the United States Republic into this global empire. And I think the comparison is totally valid. If you do want to call in, we will be taking calls here. I'm going to go ahead and take one just to see who this is, and I pretty much am sure that it's somebody trying to prank me, but I might take a different one now that we're... So I'll go ahead and do that. Welcome, you're on the air, you're on Illegal Knowledge.
Hey, bro, I'm going to ask you, damn, you're sidekick. What's up with your shirt being up like that?
Yeah, I know, it's pretty weird. I'm apparently wearing the same color as the background, and I didn't really realize that it was exactly the same color. Did you have a question or a comment about surveillance and control, liberty, security, anything like that?
I think they should take down them walls from the Mexico border.
Well, yeah, that's something that we've talked about on the show, and one of the things that they're proposing for one of the reasons why they're saying that we need all this surveillance is because of this immigration thing, and that's just total red herring. Because I mean, if we wanted to stop the immigration and the illegal immigration, I mean, we could always just let everybody in. Number one, then there wouldn't be illegal immigration. But the other thing that we could do is just stop the need for people wanting to leave Mexico and come, or Guatemala, or, we can just give aid to these countries that need it and stop the corruption in those countries. And then that would pretty much fix that problem, because if their standard of living is the same there as it is here, why move? I mean, why would you endanger yourself like that, unless, there was a real reason? And if you eliminate that need, you would eliminate yeah.
All they want to do is just work, but you don't think them taking away all the Chinese people and all the black people that come in, illegally.
Well,
all they do is just focusing on the Mexicans.
Yeah, well, they have actually, they're used during World War II. There were Chinese internment camps. Obviously, slavery of the black population has been around for a while. Thanks for your call. But yeah, today it really does seem like it's like this new boogeyman. Look at the monkey. Don't actually watch what's going on and notice that what's happening is not, oh my God, there's this massive problem. Basically that we're helping to establish. You create the problem so that you can fake the solution, so that you get a desired reaction. And it's the Hegelian dialectic, basically, paraphrased. So I was saying how Britain is worse. They've managed to get about 5% of the 5% of the population's DNA, and it seems to be exponentially rising. It's not that they're taking the DNA of just the criminal population. It's that everyone is a criminal, and because that is the threat. If you're being treated like a criminal all the time, how is it that you have any liberty? How is it that if surveillance cannot coexist with liberty, and you have to pick one or the other, because if you have cameras on freeways and cameras looking at you from everywhere, and you just have this forest of cameras, I mean, it's how are you are not really free to travel, and that's one of our liberties. And the other thing is having everybody, all the information about everybody being linked and shared with whoever wants to pay for it, or whoever people think that deserve to see, whether it's a different country. Why should a different country have to know anything about you? So let's try another call here. We got a couple minutes, or not even a couple. We got about 30 seconds left, but I'll go quick to one more call. Welcome, you're on the air. I can't hear you. But I'll try one more call. Welcome,
yeah.
You're live on the air.
I appreciate the program.
Thank you.
Everything that you just said tonight is tied into the master computer.
Yeah.
It's called the Belgium Economical Accountants Surveillance Terminal.
Okay.
Abbreviated BEAST.
AST. That's awesome. You know what? I love to keep you on the air for longer, but we're actually out of time. EFF.org, Alex Jones, and CASPIAN. Good night, everybody.